Right now, four nations spanning three continents are quietly building this trans-regional corridor.
Yeah, and it's a corridor that could completely bypass traditional superpowers.
Exactly. No massive headquarters, no ironclad treaties, just an agile, multi-country alliance focusing on, artificial intelligence, global trade routes, and mutual defense. Welcome to this deep dive.
How to be here.
Usually when we picture international diplomacy, we think of these massive, rigid, post-World War II institutions.
Right, like the World Trade Organization.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a giant, slow-moving ocean liner. But the geopolitical map is shifting fast, and that ocean liner model is, well, it's starting to look dangerously outdated. Today, we're looking at something entirely different, a blueprint known as the Hexagon Alliance.
It really is a fundamentally different architecture. I mean, we are witnessing a definitive shift away from those massive bureaucratic alliances towards something called mini-lateralism.
Mini-lateralism,
Right.
okay.
Yeah. In a multipolar world where traditional global supply chains are weakening, nations are realizing they don't necessarily need a 70-country treaty to get things done.
Right, they need agile, highly targeted partnerships.
Precisely.
And our goal today is to figure out what this emerging strategic bloc actually is, who is at the table, and most importantly, how it actually works.
It's a really vital topic.
It is. But before we get into the heavy strategic logic, I want you listening to visualize the map for a second. Draw a line starting in the Mediterranean Sea, pull it through the Middle East, and drag it all the way down into the Indo-Pacific.
And that trans-regional line is the physical footprint of the Hexagon Alliance.
Right.
Understanding that specific geography is the absolute foundation here. At the center of this proposed alliance is what we can call a core four. That's Israel, India, Greece, and Cyprus.
Let's do a quick active recall here just to lock this in for you. Take a mental snapshot of those four core nations: Israel, India, Greece, and Cyprus.
Yeah, those four anchor the entire concept. There is room built in for future participation from Arab nations, African countries, and other Asian partners, but right now, those four are the anchor.
So let's break those four down, because on the surface, India, Israel, Greece, and Cyprus don't exactly sound like the traditional cast of characters for a global superpower bloc.
No, they don't.
But when you look at the map, it makes perfect sense. It's nimble and highly specific.
Exactly. What is so striking here is the sheer geographic leap. This isn't the standard regional bloc where, a bunch of neighboring countries decide to lower tariffs.
Right, like NAFTA or something.
Right. This is a trans-regional corridor,
Yeah.
physically linking the Mediterranean via Greece and Cyprus directly through the Middle East via Israel, and then anchoring it all in the Indo-Pacific with India.
Wow.
You are essentially proposing a rewiring of global supply chains. It's the creation of a brand new maritime security architecture.
So if we look at the root causes driving this, it's not just about friendship. It's about necessity. The traditional frameworks, like the WTO or massive defense pacts, are struggling to keep up with modern multipolarity.
They really are.
These four countries are stepping into that vacuum to secure their own supply chains. But it's one thing to say you want a secure trade route. It's another to actually enforce it.
That's the hard part.
Yeah. That brings us to the actual glue holding this block together. There are three main pillars here, right? Security, economy, and technology.
Let's tackle security first because, well, you cannot have economic integration without it.
Makes sense.
The explicit objective of the security pillar is countering regional threats. Specifically, they are looking at extremist groups and Iran-aligned networks like Hezbollah and the Houthis.
And let's be clear on the cause and effect chain here. Why do Greece or India care about the Houthis?
Right.
Because those networks represent a direct physical threat to maritime security in the Red Sea and the Suez Canal. If a cargo ship can't safely travel from Mumbai to Athens, the whole corridor collapses.
Precisely. If we connect geopolitics directly to the economy, a delay in Red Sea shipping doesn't just mean a ship is late.
No.
It costs millions in insurance, it disrupts global energy security, and ultimately, it drives up domestic inflation in all four of these countries.
So it hits the citizens right in the wallet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the objective is to build a counterbalancing security architecture. But, and this is key, they aren't doing this by creating a massive joint army.
Like NATO.
Right, not like NATO. They're doing it through rapid intelligence sharing, joint maritime coordination, and defense technology collaboration.
Which perfectly transitions into the second pillar, which is economic and trade integration.
Yes.
Once the route is secure, the focus shifts to trade corridors, cross-border investment flows, and physical infrastructure connectivity.
Right, the economic implications are massive.
But here is where it gets really fascinating for me, and I want to push back a little on how this is structured. The third pillar is technology and innovation.
Yes, crucial.
They are specifically prioritizing artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and cybersecurity. My question is, why are AI and quantum computing elevated to the exact same level of importance as physical maritime security and counterterrorism?
Because in today's strategic landscape, technological dependence is your biggest security vulnerability.
Interesting.
It all comes back to geoeconomics. Let's say you build a state-of-the-art physical trade corridor. You have massive ports in India, high-tech logistics hubs in Israel, and distribution centers in Greece.
Okay, sounds good so far.
But if the software running those ports is vulnerable to a cyber attack, or if the cranes at the docks are built by a strategic rival and contain spyware, your
Oh,
physical security means absolutely nothing.
so cybersecurity is physical security. You can't protect a cargo ship if you don't control the satellite network tracking it.
Exactly. Controlling your own AI and quantum computing infrastructure is a profound form of defense.
Right.
You cannot have true strategic autonomy if you rely on competing superpowers for your next-generation defense tech.
Like relying on China or the US for critical systems.
Exactly. And this is where the synergy between these specific countries becomes brilliant. The strategy essentially aims to combine Israel's highly advanced, venture-backed tech and innovation sector with India's massive manufacturing base and demographic scale.
That dynamic is crucial. I mean, let's look at India's domestic impact here. India has this massive push called Atmanirbhar Bharat.
Right, self-reliant India.
Yes, and essentially, it's a massive state-sponsored drive to stop relying on foreign imports and build a completely self-sufficient manufacturing base. So Israel designs the cutting-edge quantum architecture, and India has the industrial capacity to scale it, manufacture it, and deploy it across the Indo-Pacific.
It creates a self-sustaining technological ecosystem. If you rely on a foreign superpower for AI, they can turn off your access with a single sanction.
Which we've seen happen globally.
We have.
Yep.
By co-developing it within this Hexagon framework, Israel and India secure their own tech supply chains.
So let's trace the strategic logic for you listening. The cause and effect chain here is incredibly tight. Geopolitics dictates the need for economic corridors.
Yes.
Those economic corridors require technological independence to function. And that technological independence ultimately ensures national security. It's a continuous loop.
It really is. And that loop brings us to perhaps the most complex and fascinating part of this entire blueprint, which is India's specific role.
Ah, yes. The balancing act.
In this setup, India is positioned as the central bridge between regions. This alliance firmly aligns India with broader Western and Mediterranean strategies, which is great for their economic outreach.
Right?
It also intentionally helps them reduce their overdependence on the United States for security partnerships.
But there is a massive complication here, and we need to unpack the geopolitical implications.
Oh, definitely.
We just established that a core security objective of this group is countering Iran-led networks. But India has deep, long-standing ties with Iran and various Gulf states.
They do?
They rely on Iranian energy, and they've invested heavily in Iran's Chabahar port to access Central Asia.
Right, bypassing Pakistan.
Exactly. So how on earth does India act as the central bridge in an alliance targeting Iranian proxies while simultaneously maintaining diplomatic and economic ties with Tehran? You can't just stand on two tectonic plates and hope they don't shift.
That tension right there is the defining strategic dilemma of a multipolar world. What India is doing is executing an absolute masterclass in hedging its bets.
Okay.
And it all comes back to that concept we mentioned earlier, strategic autonomy.
So break down the mechanics of that for us. How do they actually do it without infuriating everyone involved?
Well, it works entirely because of the structure of mini-lateralism.
Okay.
Think about the institutional and legal dimensions. If India joined a traditional formal military alliance, like a NATO for the Middle East, that came with a binding mutual defense treaty,
Right.
Iran would immediately cut ties, sanction them, and block access to the Chabahar port.
Because it's a formal declaration.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the Hexagon Alliance isn't a binding treaty. It's an informal, issue-specific partnership.
Ah, so it's a loophole.
It is absolutely a strategic loophole. By participating in this framework, India can align with Western interests, share vital intelligence with Israel to protect its ships in the Red Sea, and co-develop AI.
Yeah.
But because there's no formal charter forcing India to declare war on Iran's allies, India can compartmentalize.
They can have their cake and eat it too.
Exactly. They can conduct joint naval exercises with the U.S. and Greece on a Tuesday and negotiate energy imports with Iran on a Wednesday.
Wow.
It allows them to maximize their geopolitical options while minimizing their dependencies on any single bloc. This is multipolarity in action.
It's a multi-alignment strategy. You align where your interests intersect, like protecting supply chains and developing tech, but you refuse to lock yourself into an exclusive treaty that forces you into someone else's regional conflict.
Precisely. Similar to how they navigate the Quad and BRICS.
Right, being in both the Quaded with the U.S. and BRICS with China and Russia. But that brings up a really important reality check.
Okay, let's hear it.
We're talking about these massive trans-regional corridors, quantum computing integration, and masterful diplomatic tightrope walks. But right now, today, this entire Hexagon Alliance remains completely informal.
It does.
There is no institutional structure. There's no permanent headquarters in New Delhi or Athens.
And it faces genuine implementation challenges due to the diverging interests of its members, exactly like that India-Iran dynamic we just discussed.
Yeah.
Because of this informality, many geopolitical analysts view the Hexagon Alliance currently as more of a political narrative than a concrete operational alliance.
I have to challenge that a bit, though.
Go ahead.
If there is no permanent secretariat, no binding charter, and no mutual defense clause, isn't a political narrative just a paper tiger?
Many would say yes.
I mean, it sounds like an excuse for countries that want the optics of an alliance without actually committing to defend each other when things get tough.
Yeah, that is the exact critique you would hear from a traditional 20th century foreign policy perspective.
Right.
But in modern geoeconomics, narratives actually shape reality. A declared political narrative, even an informal one, immediately signals intent to your rivals.
Like laying down a marker on the board.
Exactly. When India, Israel, Greece, and Cyprus publicly announce that they are integrating their trade routes and co-developing cybersecurity infrastructure, it instantly shifts the strategic calculus in both the Middle East and the Indo-Pacific.
Other countries have to react.
Right. Rivals have to factor that cooperation into their plans.
Right.
Furthermore, think about the speed of modern technology. A formal, binding international treaty often takes 10 years to negotiate, draft, and ratify through multiple parliaments.
And in 10 years, quantum computing will have reinvented itself 3 times over.
Exactly. If you try to build an ocean liner, by the time it launches, the technology is obsolete.
That makes a lot of sense.
Think of mini-lateralism more like open source software.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah, multiple countries can contribute to a specific project, say an AI defense network, or a customs protocol for a shipping lane, without having to buy into a massive corporate structure, right? The informality is actually a feature, not a bug. It sets the stage for cooperative security today, allowing these nations to adapt quickly to supply chain shocks or emerging tech threats.
So the flexibility is the true strength. They don't need $1 billion headquarters to effectively share threat intelligence about a drone attack in the Red Sea.
Exactly.
Or to route a new cargo supply chain around a choke point.
Precisely. And if we look at the broader implications, this is how nations are insulating themselves from the weakening of global bodies, like the WTO. When global consensus fails, you find 3 or 4 like-minded nations and you build your own corridor.
So let's pull all these threads together to really lock in the strategic logic we've covered. Let's do a rapid revision recap for you listening.
That's good.
The entire foundation of this deep dive is the shift away from slow, rigid institutions toward agile mini-lateralism. We are looking at a trans-regional corridor stretching from the Mediterranean to the Indo-Pacific.
Built on the 4 anchor nations, Israel, India, Greece, and Cyprus.
Right. And functioning through 3 distinct interconnected pillars.
Security, economy, and technology.
Exactly. Security is about creating a counterbalancing architecture against extremist networks threatening maritime routes.
The Red Sea, primarily.
Yep. Economy is integrating physical trade corridors and infrastructure. And technology is leveraging Israel's cutting-edge innovation alongside India's massive scale, tying right into that Atmanirbhar Bharat push for domestic self-reliance.
Focusing heavily on AI and quantum computing.
We also explored how this structure serves as a masterclass in strategic autonomy for India.
It's a delicate balance.
It is. It allows them to act as a central bridge, integrating with Western security and tech frameworks without completely rupturing their delicate, necessary ties with the Gulf states and Iran, specifically around projects like the Chabahar port.
And finally, we address the reality that while this is currently an informal structure, often dismissed as just a paper tiger
Ugh.
or a political narrative, that informality functions like open source software.
Right, it's a feature, not a bug.
It provides the speed and adaptability necessary to actually execute cooperative security in a fast-paced, multipolar world.
The overarching takeaway here is that geopolitics, economic corridors, and national security are no longer separate fields.
Not at all.
They are entirely dependent on technological independence. The Hexagon Alliance is essentially a prototype for how middle powers and emerging superpowers will navigate the next century.
It is a totally interconnected loop.
And it all traces back to that imaginary line we drew on the map at the start of this deep dive.
From the Mediterranean through the Middle East and down into the Indo-Pacific.
It's not just a line of trade, it's a blueprint for a new kind of global power, but it leaves us with a really fascinating question to chew on as we wrap up.
It does. As the world continues to shift, and traditional institutions struggle to keep the peace or secure global trade, we have to ask, are permanent binding treaties becoming a liability? That's a strong question. Will the future of global security be determined by these flexible, temporary, open-source coalitions? When the next massive global crisis hits, will adaptability outvalue formal structure?
That is the defining question for the next era of international relations. Will the agile geopolitical startups outmaneuver the slow-moving ocean liners? It's going to be fascinating to watch this trans-regional corridor develop. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the structures on the global map, and we'll catch you next time.